Right now, your brain is running in threat mode for no visible reason. It simply forgot how to switch off. And that's not the same thing, because the chronic background is doing something specific to your brain right now while you're watching this. That feeling doesn't feel like danger. It doesn't announce itself loudly. It feels like fog, like a quiet hum behind everything, like being tired in a way that 8 hours of sleep doesn't fix. Here's what nobody tells you. That hum has a name. It's cortisol that never finished clearing. And your body has been waiting, sometimes for years, for the signal that it's allowed to stop. Japan learned how to send that signal 400 years ago. Most people try to fix this through action, new supplements, strict routines, attempts to pull themselves together through willpower. All of it is additional load on a system that's already running on empty. Japanese philosophy offered a fundamentally different path. Cortisol doesn't need to be suppressed or managed. It needs to be brought to its natural completion. Today you'll learn 3 Japanese practices, each of which helps the nervous system do exactly that. No equipment, no special conditions. One of them takes under 5 minutes. And there's one thing that makes all 3 fail without it. I'll tell you at the end. Here's what's actually happening inside you right now. Your brain has a threat detection system. When you're stuck in traffic and late for an important meeting, when a conversation with someone close ended the wrong way, when you realize you've once again failed to finish everything you planned, the brain sends one signal: cortisol. Cortisol sharpens your focus, raises your heart rate, prepares you to act. That system is brilliant. It's exactly what kept your ancestors alive. The problem is that modern threats never end. Every morning begins with a fresh load of tasks, messages, and expectations. All the tension from yesterday never went anywhere. Cortisol keeps layering, day after day, until the nervous system forgets what calm even feels like. Studies on chronic stress and cognitive function show something precise. Cortisol doesn't just make you feel worse. It measurably reduces activity in the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that makes decisions, regulates emotions, and lets you think clearly under pressure. The higher the tension, the harder it is to manage it. The cycle locks in. Japanese medicine observed this dynamic centuries before neuroimaging existed, and instead of looking for ways to fight cortisol, they looked for what stops it naturally. The answer wasn't a technique, it was a state. Mokure, the stillness that cannot be shaken. In an ancient Chinese text that Japanese martial arts masters made part of their philosophy, there is a story about the perfect fighting rooster. The owner asked the trainer, "Is the rooster ready to fight?" The trainer answered, "No. He still reacts to other birds. He still tenses when he hears another bird's cry." A few weeks later, the trainer said, "Now he's ready. He stands as if carved from wood. Other roosters see him and leave on their own. He doesn't need to do anything." Mokure, literally wooden rooster, became a symbol in Japanese tradition of a particular state. Not indifference, not suppression of emotions, but an inner stability in which external irritants simply stop triggering a chain reaction in the body. This is exactly what happens with cortisol in most people. Every new irritant, a message, a glance, an unfinished task, triggers another wave. Not because the situation is dangerous, but because the nervous system has forgotten how to stay at rest. The 3 practices below don't teach you to ignore what's happening. They restore the nervous system's ability to stop reacting automatically, lowering cortisol through specific, measurable mechanisms. When things get too heavy, most people do one of 3 things. The first is distraction. They turn on a series, scroll the feed, look for anything to switch off. This feels like rest, but the brain doesn't rest while it's consuming content. Cortisol stays in the background and waits. The second is trying harder. They introduce a strict schedule, set a timer for meditation, pull themselves together. The intention is right, but any effort costs cortisol in itself. It becomes a closed loop. You're trying to recover using the exact same thing that drained you. The third is simply waiting, getting through the day and hoping tomorrow will be lighter. Sometimes it is, but the accumulated tension in the body doesn't go anywhere. It stays until it receives a signal that it's allowed to let go. The 3 practices below give that signal. and the simplest one takes 5 minutes. First practice, Reisui, cold water as signal. In Edo period Japan, the practice of misogi, ritual cold water purification, was part of everyday life for samurai and monks alike. It was a way to reset the state and enter the day with a clear internal orientation. Studies on the mammalian dive reflex explain the mechanism. When cold water contacts the skin around the eyes and nose, the body activates one of the oldest neurological responses in vertebrate biology. Heart rate slows, the vagus nerve fires, the parasympathetic system takes over. Cortisol drops, not gradually, within seconds. Researchers studying competitive freedivers found this reflex capable of reducing heart rate by up to 25% in trained individuals. Training isn't required. The reflex works automatically in everyone. How to use it right now. After waking in the morning, before picking up your phone, go to the sink. Splash cold water on your face 10 times. Focus on the area beneath your eyes and across the bridge of your nose. Hold a cold, wet cloth over your eyes for 30 seconds for the full effect, under 2 minutes. Cortisol baseline measurably lower within 3 to 5 days. No cold shower needed, no ice needed, just the right surface, the right temperature, and 30 seconds of attention. Second practice, Mushaburi, the shake that completes the cycle. Watch a dog after something has frightened it badly. A loud bang, a sudden sound in the street, a sharp movement nearby. The dog shakes its whole body for about 30 seconds, then wags its tail and walks on as if nothing happened. The body released the tension and returned to normal. That isn't a coincidence. That's biology doing its job all the way through. In Japanese martial tradition, Mushaburi, literally warrior trembling, describe the involuntary shaking that moves through the body before and after intense combat. Samurai understood it as a sign that the body was releasing what had accumulated inside it, not a sign of weakness, a sign of healthy response. Dr. David Berceli, a trauma stress researcher, arrived at the same conclusions centuries later. When a stress response activates, cortisol and adrenaline flood the muscles to prepare the body for action. But when that action never happens, because we're sitting in a meeting, riding the subway, staring at a screen, the hormones stay inside. They accumulate week after week. Intentional shaking allows the body to finally complete what was set in motion. How to use it right now. Stand up. Feet shoulder-width apart, knees slightly bent. Let your legs begin to tremble gently. If it doesn't happen on its own, start softly bouncing on your heels. Let that movement travel up through your hips. Shake your hands. Roll your shoulders. 2 to 3 minutes. You can put on music. This is not sport. This is not exercise. You're simply giving your body permission to finish what it started that morning. People who do this 3 to 4 times a week consistently report deeper sleep and a physical lightness they find difficult to put into words. Cortisol drops because the body finally completed the cycle all the way through. Third practice, Mono no Aware, the sadness that releases. The first 2 practices work with the body. This one works with something the body cannot shake on its own, the stories it keeps replaying over and over. Mono no Aware is the Japanese concept of the gentle sadness that comes from recognizing that everything passes. Cherry blossoms are beautiful precisely because they live for only a few days. The cracked bowl that was repaired with gold becomes more valuable than it was when it was whole. Beauty, not despite vulnerability, but through it. Here's why this reduces cortisol. A significant portion of chronic tension doesn't come from what is happening. It comes from resistance to what has already happened. The brain keeps generating anxiety, not because the situation is dangerous, but because something inside us simply cannot accept that it's real. The project that didn't work out, the conversation that went wrong, the day that turned out nothing like it was supposed to. Research on emotional acceptance shows that the moment a person genuinely stops resisting a difficult reality, not pretending everything is fine, but truly acknowledging that it happened, cortisol activity measurably decreases. The brain stops generating the threat signal because the threat has finally been acknowledged. There is nothing left to fight. Mono no aware is not resignation and not indifference. It is the ability to let yourself feel something fully, and through that, to move forward. The same way a wave that breaks on the shore returns to the ocean. How to use it right now. Think of one thing from today that didn't go the way you wanted. Name it to yourself, quietly. Don't look for a solution. Don't try to reframe it. Don't tell yourself it's all for the best. Just let it be exactly what it is, and let yourself feel whatever comes. 30 seconds is enough to begin. The Japanese look at the falling petal not in order to feel sad, but because living that feeling all the way through is what allows them to move on. 3 practices: cold water, shaking, acceptance. Each one lowers cortisol through a different mechanism: the nervous system, the muscles, the mind. But here's what the research mentions quietly. People who practice these with a specific goal, to become more productive, to perform better, to simply get through tomorrow, receive significantly less benefit. The body measures intention. The parasympathetic system doesn't fully activate when somewhere inside the underlying state is still, I need to fix myself. Mokure, that inner stability, is not created by effort. It arises when effort stops. In Japanese philosophy, rest is never justified by what it produces. You don't stop in order to do more later. You stop because the stopping has value in itself. Until the body truly believes this, cortisol won't fully clear, because the nervous system only signals safety when it genuinely feels safe, not when it's performing rest. Here's the strange truth about cortisol. You cannot lower it by trying to lower it. The effort itself keeps it elevated. Cold water works because it's a reflex. It bypasses intention entirely. Shaking works because it's completion. The body finishes what it started. Mono no aware works because it's acceptance. The brain stops holding the threat it no longer needs to fight. None of these practices require you to try harder. All of them require one thing: to stop. Mudori. Not indifference, not suppression. The stability that arises when the body finally remembers how to be at rest. One question: which of these practices feels hardest for you to actually do? And will you try it before tomorrow morning? Write it below. I read every comment.